nice to meet you both.
It's so nice to meet you. We've been watching you for so many years. Well, because you like are on it. Every single lesson you're on it. You are a hard worker.
I love lessons. I love the challenge of lessons. Lessons always get me to an easel.
Every challenge I put out on the site, you do it. Every video we put, you do it.
In fact, I think we've started bets to see how long it will take Germaine to post her page.
I was a little slow on this one because I had a busy weekend for that nice illuminating landscape you put out there.
So cool though. You work so hard. No wonder you're progressing so fast.
Yeah. I've been working at it for like several years now, really focused.
Yeah. And it shows in your work.
And I just want to say congratulations, you guys are just winning medals over there.
We both have had a really good.
Yeah, congratulations on that.
Thank you. Because you know what? In a second, it's not there too. So when it is there, you just got to appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's like that whole saying, you can't take it personal when somebody says negative, and you can't take it personal when they say something positive. So
right. Yes, definitely. Although that, it's like, I don't want to rely on that external validation, right? No. But it's sure nice when you get it, right?
It is. Yay. It's very nice.
Like, yeah, that's the best.
Well, we are so glad that you agreed to do this member profile.
Sure.
We want to know more about you and what inspires you. And
you're inspiring to so many of the other students out there.
Oh, that's good. That's really good. Yeah. And to be able to like be vulnerable and put your work out there, because should be just a supportive environment, right, for everybody.
Absolutely. In fact, we should have this really safe space to be able to explore and do things that are so outside of our wheelhouse. And that's even saying that, it's still hard to do it. It's still hard to do it.
Yeah.
You do. Fabulous. We love it.
Oh, good. I'm glad. Yes, I love challenges. Yeah, I've always been like that. Always liked challenges.
Well, we have some questions for you that tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I have only been painting since 2010. So I wasn't a painter. I didn't draw, as I can't give you the story. I've been drawing since I was a child. I don't draw at all still now, it's like, so art wasn't part of my life. Creativity in other ways was, but not art. And I worked for 28 years for Children's Protective Services. And I'm a licensed psychotherapist. So this is what my life has been. So art was just when I started picking it up in 2010, it was just a little stress reliever.
Yeah.
And I would do it at night, and just, it was because I had a very stressful job.
Yeah, I bet.
So then I retired about 7 years ago.
County Attorney's Office, and I know what the CPS officers do. That is a lot. And thank you for your service.
Oh, sure. So it was an intense job. I finally retired early 28 years later, but early for me age-wise, because I just had like major post-traumatic stress. I couldn't take it anymore. So, and then I started devoting, so that was like 7 years ago I retired. And then I started devoting probably 5 years ago, seriously, just devoting to my art.
Very good.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Do you find it's been really healing too for your PTSD?
Oh yeah, it's been healing in many ways. It's getting me through, I'm not there yet, but it's gotten me through major grief. I love loss of my mom. Could get emotional, but it's saved me. Basically, art has saved me. I think creativity is so important for everybody, for mental health. I mean, depression, anxiety, you name it. creativity is so helpful.
Absolutely.
And no matter what you do, write, draw, paint, pot flowers, anything creative that can get you into that mind space of relaxation, kind of meditative, lose sense of time kind of things. It's just so good for you.
Fully present at what you're doing. So
Right.
you're in the moment when you're painting. You can't think of the past and you can't think of the future. You're just right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I always say art heals.
It certainly does.
Hashtag I use a lot on my Instagram post, art heals, because it really does. It really does.
Yeah, it pretty much saved me. It's still saving me.
How much time do you spend a week painting?
I try to get to the easel 5 days a week.
Very good.
Yeah,
And it shows.
sometimes more. I've been committed to that.
And what's a painting day look like for you?
Well, I'm not a morning person, so I I get up and I eat 2 hours after I get it. So my breakfast is usually around 2, and then maybe by 3:30 I get to the easel, and then I might just paint till 7.
Yeah.
Or later or less. That's kind of, and then the evening I'm like watching art videos and doing stuff like that. And so yeah, but that's kind of my schedule. Because I paint alla prima, so I like to finish a painting in one sitting. I never, maybe once, have gone back to a painting the next day. So even if I do, usually I do like 9x12, 8x10. So if I do an 11x14, I'm going to stay at that easel till I finish it, because I don't want to have to go back to it the next day.
Yeah. I used to be able to paint, 8 to 10 hours a day. I can't do that anymore. Honestly.
Yeah, no, I don't think I've ever done that long a stretch. Maybe 4, 4.5.
I was a lot younger when I could do that.
You still long stretches, and you're most of the time 7 days a week.
No, well, if the flowers are blooming, I am.
Yeah.
But
I try and take one day off
for my husband,
because one has to do that.
Like to keep him around. Yeah.
When she's been with her husband for a while, I'll say, hey, it's a Liz date. I get her today.
My time. And when I tell my husband that, he says, go, get over there.
And it's great you live right next door. I mean, that's so wonderful.
It's great. We love it.
It was divinely inspired. It was meant to be, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm pretty much in isolation with my painting. I don't really have an art community where I am.
And where are you?
I'm in Walnut Creek, California, right in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Yep, I lived in Union City. I know right where Walnut Creek is.
Oh.
In fact, when we moved there, my parents could have bought a house in Walnut Creek, or they could have bought a house in Union City. Well, guess what they chose? Union City. Bad decision. Walnut Creek was a much better choice.
Right, definitely. So
do you belong to an art club or anything out there?
No, not yet. Well, no, not yet. I've been out here more than half my life in California.
Oh, you're cute.
My time on that.
I love it. You're expressive like me.
Oh no, no, I haven't. I've just kind of been doing my own thing. Yeah.
Oh, that's okay too.
But I mean, I'm getting myself out there. I've joined jury shows, and I've been doing that since 2015. And I've been, in local shows, San Francisco. I'm lucky there, Palo Alto, all that kind of stuff. So I'm getting my stuff out there. Restaurant. I had my solo show in a restaurant. I have a solo show coming up.
Oh, that's
very
awesome.
good.
It's my first big one where they found me on Instagram. I had to sign a contract, the whole shebang, like a year ago I had to sign this. So I have 24 of my still lifes. And that's going to be
where it is. Tell everybody.
It's in Pleasanton. It's at the Firehouse Arts Center in Pleasanton, California.
And the date?
It'll be October 25th through December 15th.
Well,
Oh,
that's
very good.
when we put it up on our website, we'll want that link so everyone can go to.
Okay, yeah. It's so open and reception October 28th. So I went there yesterday to meet with the curator and showed me around. And then I said, do you just want my still lifes? Can I put a couple of, he goes, no, you can do whatever. So it's mostly still lifes, but I'm gonna add like a couple of landscapes in there.
Very good.
So I
Yeah.
have to ask, you don't sound like you're from California.
I'm from Jersey. I'm a
Okay. Yeah, you said that. That's more like it.
yeah, I'm from Jersey.
Yeah, Jersey girl.
I know, I still have my accent, so people tell me.
You do, well, just a little, not much.
What is your favorite genre to paint? Is it still life? Is that your
Well,
favorite?
it's interesting because I've always loved still life my whole life, even though I wasn't a painter. I was always drawn to still life. But and then I started studying still life like 3 years ago and seriously studying it. So it was something that I've been working at, and I feel like I'm doing, doing good at it, and I'm improving. But like in between my still lives, I love painting a seascape, landscape. So really, I think I might be like really a landscape seascape painter, but I'm just doing something that I want to like become a master still life painter.
It's the challenge of it then.
Yeah, and also I love light, and so it's for me it's easy to not easy, it's been a process, but it's easier for me to make that flow of light happen. And I'm gonna have to like learn how to do that more in my landscape, seascapes,
Well,
and interiors. I love interiors too.
And that's something that we're always working on. I just always how to create that drama, how to create that gotcha
Yeah.
in your painting.
We go out painting, and if it's an overcast day where there's no shadows or anything like that, I'm lost. I don't even know what to do.
Yeah.
Where's my light and shadow?
Yeah. And for me, that light and shadow hasn't been the ultimate goal ever in my paintings. It's been more about the visual imagery, the setting. But I find that the longer that I paint, the more I realize that it's becoming more and more important, even beyond that imagery. So it's something we all are working on.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's like if somebody, I've been struggling, people, what's your voice? What's your voice? Well, I'm still trying to find my voice. And I don't think my voice is in my brush strokes where you could say like, oh, these brush strokes, this is the person's voice. I think my paintings are more like my mood. Like my mood carries throughout the different paintings.
That's a good thing. Yeah.
Not necessarily, because you may think somebody else painted that one, because I'll paint it in different styles, like whatever I'm feeling at the moment. So they're not going to look like my still lives. My other ones are much freer.
Well, what I found is even if we don't see that there's this commonality, this voice, other people can. Other people can see it. There is a continuity that runs between all of them. And we don't know it because our style finds us. We don't find it.
Yeah,
it's true.
Yeah. No matter how hard we try and do it, otherwise it doesn't work.
I try and paint like Shanna and I fail miserably. So
well, ditto. I like still life. Forget about it. Forget about it.
Forget about it.
What are one or two things that have really helped you with your progress and given you confidence in your voice and ability?
I'd say easel time.
Yeah.
And just being driven, like perseverance, So, but that easel time, and I know it's true in other things I've done in life and sports and this and that, practice, right? But the fact it's like if you look back and like, okay, where I was and where I am, and knowing that I put that easel time in, it works. He's like, it's like, whoa,
Like, how do
it
you do
actually,
it at Carnegie Hall
it
practice?
actually works, you know. But it's like comparing it to, like, say, tennis. Like, I can practice forehands down the line or this. It seems like much, but like when you go to an easel, it's not like, I'm not like, okay, let's just practice this stroke for 20,000 shots, you know. It's like, so it's a little more, has a little more elusiveness to it, but yet just putting in the mileage, everything builds upon, which builds upon, which builds upon. So, and then voila, you know.
You take something that you love from one of your paintings and then put it into the next one, and then maybe two things from that to put into the next one. That's how it works. I think that we would all, as visual people and mostly spontaneous people, I think we would be bored to death practicing brush strokes,
Yeah,
practicing
yeah,
things like that. We have to make the whole thing come together.
yeah.
You know, what's interesting is that you always think, well, today's going to be a better painting day than yesterday, right? Because I'm supposed to be better. Well, this past week, I had one day where like the painting just practically painted itself. It was awesome. Like, oh my gosh, I'm so good. And then the next day, everything failed.
Yep.
It was a disaster of a painting day, but that's what keeps us going.
It
We love it.
is.
So the challenge, we just love it so much.
It keeps
And
us
you think
coming
you
back.
have you think you have a concept down, and then you forgot that concept, and then you'll go through a painting and you'll look at it, it's like, oh no, I forgot to put the reflected light in the, how can I have forgotten that? It's like, so you it's like you have to hear something like 8-10 times.
Yeah.
And then eventually it'll stick. And once it does, then you will not forget it. But there's a lot of those things that are still not sticking yet that eventually.
A lot like life, right?
You make those same mistakes over and over
again. But it's so true. That's why we tell people, just because you've watched the lesson once doesn't mean like, don't ever watch it again, because you could watch it again and pick up something completely different.
Yeah.
And like life, you can know it and still choose to do it anyway.
Yeah.
We've done that. We're guilty.
Well, and what I found out is you only hear what you're ready to hear. So that's why going back to some of the older videos, you go, oh, that makes sense now. I didn't even hear that before, and now it makes sense.
Yeah. It's like school where you learn stuff, and if you can't apply it, but then if you have all this experience and then you learn something, it's like that makes sense then.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me about your very most favorite painting that you have accomplished. And
see, I don't really have favorites. It's like, I have so many.
Crush like Shanna does.
I
Shanna
get crushes.
Well, I sent one to Elizabeth of a painting, and I chose that one because it was not a still life that I had, because there are some still lifes that I'm very proud of. But this one was, I kind of with the intention went in that it was going to be, I'm just going to be free. I'm just going to try to make marks to make it appear to be, and it worked. Like I squinted and I had just put light in certain places, and then it started to look like the boats and the masts and the this and that. So that was like, I was proud of that because I painted very loose, and I felt like, a Russian impressionist, and it was great.
Yeah.
And I think that's when we all do our best paintings, when
Right.
we just sit down and say, I just want to have some fun.
Yeah.
And I know that's when I do my best paintings.
Yeah.
Just no worries for a show or a gallery or anything, just having fun.
But if you hadn't put all the miles in and learned all the lessons, you wouldn't be able to do that intuitive painting. It's because you put that time in that makes those intuitive moments actually work.
Yeah.
That's true. Let the
I'm not brave enough do that in my still life though, because I feel like the still life needs to look a certain way. The light needs to be, so I'm very much more tight in my still life. And so it's I'm not just going to paint like Sergei Bongard or something in my still, even though I like that, I end up wanting to paint like very representational, basically.
Right.
Yeah. Do you do much plein air painting?
No, I tried it. I actually, it's funny because I had a painting in a show once. It was a seascape, and the director came up and said, "You painted that plein air," and I said no, but I actually pretended I was painting plein air. And I limited myself on time because the light was going to change, and so I painted it as if I was plein air painting.
Yeah, it's a different set of decision-making processes.
Yeah, yeah.
But
out here,
of things appear as they appear. We get out there and we look at everything, just like even with still life, we look at everything, and there's so much information that sometimes it's really hard to get away from that object as it appears.
yeah, yeah. So no, I did it once in it was like Fort Munston, I think, in San Francisco, and it can get cold in the summer here. And I went out with this group and I froze. I was freezing. I know, you're in the snow over there, like you have no sympathy for me for that. But I mean, I was like, bundled up, and it was windy, and it was like, no, I like to paint in the comfort of my studio.
I am with you. We go plein air painting in about 20 minutes. I'm wishing I was back in the studio, and like I'm wondering, Shanna, hurry up and get done so we can.
Well, I've become very particular too. If it's below 50 degrees, forget it. It's not happening.
Yeah.
And if it's over 90, forget it. It's not happening. So we are becoming a little more fair weather.
Well, I think we've earned the right to be a little more particular.
Yeah. Yeah. After this many years.
Yeah.
I think just because I don't paint plein air, I'm always observing when I'm out in the world. So always looking up at the sky, always looking at the trees, always looking. So I feel like I've absorbed that, my whole life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And that's the biggest thing. I say in my lessons, I'm not really here to teach you how to paint, which I kind of am, but what we're really trying to do is to teach you how to see those shapes and those values and
organize.
Yeah, it's just teaching you how to see.
Yeah. Is there any artist, living or dead, that has had a profound influence on you? Is there somebody that you just absolutely love their work?
Well, yeah, I'll go to the not living artist in a minute, but during my really difficult time when my mom first passed, I had found Kelly Folsom online, and I decided to commit because I was like saying, should I do this? I don't know. I decided to commit to a year of an intense mentorship.
Yeah.
And I never painted still life before that. So that's how I learned to paint still life. So that year, it kind of really changed my course and my direction. And then I started finding David LaFell online, and then I found you guys online. And so so that's where that led to. So now it's like I'm just, building on that and building on that from there. So that was an influence in a way that it got me to start to paint still life, which I never did before. So then for me, I guess one of my staring at one of his, I have a print of his on my wall, Edward Hopper.
I love Hopper too.
I am the biggest Edward Hopper fan. So for me, it's all about the light, and also his kind of desolate scenes and quiet scenes where like it brings you in. It's like, what's going on? Like, what happened before? What's going to happen after? It's still like basic scenes, but they're intriguing,
With a little nostalgia just
Yeah.
enough nostalgia, but not sweet. They're just,
Yeah.
yeah, they are so inviting. Have you been to the Whitney? Because his shows up.
Yes.
Yeah, the Whitney.
I have been to the Whitney twice to see his stuff. Once when he did the drawings, and then they put the drawings and then the paintings next to it.
Yes.
But I didn't see the last exhibit. I didn't get back east to see that. But that was his New York exhibit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing.
Did you see it?
I have been to the Whitney before and seen it, but it was probably 18 years ago they had a show. And I know this year they had a show for him as well. And I don't know if there was different paintings or if it was very similar, but I was blown away because in print, they're very flat. It's a flattened picture plane. And it was really stunning to see how much dimension was in them in life as compared to in print.
You know, that I think Edgar Payne is the same way.
Oh, I think so too.
Seeing Edgar Payne's paintings in person just blew me away when he was in Pasadena at a show several years ago. But
I think seeing anyone's paintings in person. I went to Musée d'Orsay only once. Yeah. Well, I went twice because I loved it so much when I was there once. Yeah. And it was about 8 years ago. And I went to the Impressionist rooms, and when I got into the second room, I just started crying. I just was so overwhelmed. I just started crying. I'm like, oh my God, I couldn't control myself.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
See those, and especially in the L'Orange.
Yes.
So huge. It was just like, it stops you in your tracks.
I was never, I shouldn't say never, but I wasn't a huge Van Gogh fan until I saw one in person, it brought me to my knees.
Yeah.
I'm just like so overwhelmed by the emotion of his painting. It just
everyone says that about Van Gogh. Everybody.
You have to see it in person.
It feels like he's standing over your shoulder, breathing.
So emotional.
You can feel it. It's pretty amazing. But I like that you picked an American painter. That's pretty amazing because we do relate to other American painters. We jump in with both feet, and technique isn't necessarily the highest on our priority list. The emotion is more important. And I think you get a lot of that in Hopper's paintings. I think they're so emotional.
Yeah, definitely.
In Utah, we have Maynard Dixon, who painted at the same time as Hopper. In fact, they both did that industrial period about the same time period. And it's just, when you get the chance to go in and see those paintings in true life, it's just mind-blowing. Oh, that's cool. That's really cool.
And we've got good museums. I try to catch every show that comes through. We've got the De Young and the Legion of Honor. I mean, so yeah, there's always a good show coming through there.
Always. You got the Kiss. This sculpture. Okay, so where do you want to be in 1 year from now? And then where do you want to be in 5 years from now? What are your
I've been thinking about this question. I'm not a big planner, but because right now my focus was like a 3-month focus, which was getting ready for this show coming up, right? So I'm still painting some more, waiting for some more. I have about 20 of them, but I'm waiting for 4 more masterpieces to come through on this. And then I'm framing them all and varnishing, so doing all of that. So that's kind of was my goal. And then I was figuring, after that, I've been thinking even before this question, what am I going to do after that? But I mean, I guess I just see me continuing to improve my craft. I mean, that's kind of what I enjoy, just getting better and better. I was thinking maybe teaching in there. Yeah. Something.
Oh, teaching is so inspiring, and you learn so much when you're teaching. Yeah. All those little things you can't put words to, when you're teaching, you have to put
figure out-
words to
I
them.
have to figure out how to put it into
Yeah,
words.
you
Yeah.
learn.
Well, that was my concern. It's like Hopper said, if I could put it into words, I wouldn't have to paint.
Right.
And that's true. That's true. I think we have learned so much from the last 3 years of Inspired to Paint.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
And vocalizing it in a way that people can understand it's challenging because we
Yes.
all interpret things differently.
Well, it's interesting because it's like, I'm thinking, do I know enough to teach? And I'm like, yeah, of
Yeah.
course I do. But there's a part of me that feels like I couldn't put it into words, right?
Yeah.
But then what I did, I have done little lessons for my godson and his friend. So it was, well, I'm able to do this with him, and I'm saying this and teaching him this, and he's coming up and painting and stuff. So I'm like, oh, I can do this, you know. But you just think like, wow, I do know a lot, but
Yes.
just a fear that can I explain it to somebody else, you know?
It is a really great experience to walk away going, geez, I know more than I thought I did.
Yeah.
Well, and also the knowledge of what you're contributing to other people as well. And,
Absolutely.
introducing them to the arts and the painting, and maybe this person needs to be healed, and you're providing that opportunity for them. I mean, it's really a wonderful, it's a wonderful life.
And your style is very lyrical and emotional and playful. Your paintings have this playfulness about them that somebody else's might not. Your voice will reach just the right person who needs to hear that, who needs to see that and feel that.
Mm-hmm. I do need to work on a composition.
Why?
Like I would like if somebody could just set up all my still lifes for me, and then I'll just paint them, you know.
I set up. I have a really wonderful painting going today, I think.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
It's my tall green vase with a bunch of sunflower heads, but it's got cauliflower and stuff. But I said, Shanna, I said, look, it's another typical Liz Robbins composition.
And I said, no, it's not. She's moved things in the last year. I mean, it's really funny because we can see what other people are doing, but we don't necessarily know that we are. And what I've seen with Liz is she's moving objects. The relationship between objects is shifting and changing. And it's so fun to watch somebody else go through that, because then you realize that, oh, maybe I'm doing the same thing.
Well, and I think composition, I think in one of my lessons, concept lessons, I talk about, I think composition is almost what identifies a painter more so than style, because you can look at, a certain, like a Dan Gerhardt's still life, and he normally comes from the top and goes down to the bottom, or a Daniel Keyes composition, those are very, very recognizable.
Yes.
On that, but we're all striving for,
Yeah.
better compositions.
It's a never ending.
Well, I've learned so much watching your videos, and yeah, and with shadow in your trees, I actually on my wall, I have 4 of your lesson paintings on my,
Very
my
good.
wall.
And I love the one you've got behind you. That's
Oh yeah, I was in Florida, and I had taken a lot of photos, and then I decided to do one of my free things, and I painted that. That's why I like painting clouds, and I get much freer with that.
You get an A+ on that.
Yeah, it's really
Oh,
Gorgeous painting.
thanks.
Beautiful.
But actually, I painted that after watching one of your lessons, because I usually use a filbert brush, and I got a flat brush, and I started doing this on the ground, just like on the ground. Yeah. And then also on the ground, it's probably hard to see, I started doing this, same values, putting next to each other, and so thank you for those tips.
Absolutely. That's a really nice painting. Really, really nice painting.
So
Thanks.
We only have a couple minutes left, but what advice would you give to people starting out to paint?
Just get to the easel and don't worry about the outcome. Just have fun, just paint anything. And if you don't feel like you can, what to paint, go to a lesson, just start painting a lesson, do a part of it. Like you've even said that in your lessons, you don't have to paint the whole thing, just paint a piece of it if you want.
Right.
And so just get to the easel, stick an orange up and paint that, but just do it, have fun, and just put in the brush mileage, because I can testify that gets you to where you want to go.
Absolutely.
Well, you have beautiful work, and
Oh, thank you so much.
you're
And
just
so do you both.
impressed.
It's amazing. And you're both the still life and landscape lessons are just wonderful.
Thank you.
I look forward to them every month.
Well, we look forward to seeing what you're going to do with it.
Oh, no, I'm gonna post mine. I'm gonna say, okay, how much time are we giving Germaine before she posts?
It's so cool. You are very persistent and very determined, and that's what it takes to get good.
Yeah.
And
And like I said, it's good for me emotionally to get to the easel. So
yeah,
It's amazing how there'll be days where I just don't feel like painting, but like you put one stroke down and then before you know it, several hours have passed. And
Yep.
you're like, oh, well, I was excited to paint when originally I stood there and thought, I don't feel like painting, but
yeah, you said that on that recent painting where you said you didn't feel like it that day, and then it just painted
I
itself.
know, it was
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Well, it has been so delightful getting to know you.
Yes, it was so
we
great
love
to meet you.
having you in our group. We love.
Oh, thank you so much. I love
Finally
being in
putting
there.
a face to paintings. Yeah.
Definitely. So
Now
thank
we
you
get
so
to put a
much
big
for
smile. Look at
Yeah.
you got a beautiful smile. Now we get to
Thanks.
see a beautiful smile with your paintings.
All right, well, we will put this up on the website along, and if you can get us those, like the link to your show and that kind
Oh,
of
sure. Yeah.
We'll spread the word.
so
Oh,
that
thank
other
you.
members can see what you're doing. 'Cause that's
Do you have a
wonderful.
website? Do you
I
have
do.
a Facebook
Yeah.
website?
It's
Okay.
GermaineDeLuca.com. Yeah.
We'll put that link up as well.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I'll
So
see you in the
nice.
group.
So nice to meet you.
You too.
Germaine, happy
Take
painting.
care.
Happy painting.
Happy painting to you.
Bye-bye.
Oh, she's cute.
She's darling.